Okay. I speak for a living, and whoo-hoo, this is the most intimidating thing. Okay.
Now, you could do a better job of segment intending.
I know.
So, what is intimidate? You don't even mean it.
Oh, I don't at all. I mean...
what do you... Intimidation...
Here's what I mean. I mean, when I get up on stage and I speak, I come alive. This is like 10 times alive from what I do when I speak. That's what I mean.
Oh, it's really alive.
Really awesome.
When you're tuned in, you're alive, but you're not intimidated.
No.
If you weren't ready...
Bad word.
We don't care what words you use. We're just really going after this notion of when you're segment intending, mean what you say and say what you mean. And let it speak to your strengths, not your weaknesses. Let it speak to your desires, not your absence of desires. Because when you're on stage, you are tuned in, tapped in, turned on. You are for sure. But you're not on stage all that much. It's like Esther, segment intending all day long and then watching an hour of television and sort of doing the opposite in 1 hour that she did all day long on purpose, you see. And so we're just wanting you to be mindful of deciding how you want to feel.
Right.
All right.
Okay.
Your time's up now.
Oh. I went through a really hard year. And I had moments that I thought maybe...
All right, so now this is more segment intending.
Okay.
Even though it's true,
yeah.
And even though we know you want clarification about it, you want to create this little bubble of darkness and move it into this segment with us?
No.
So what would you rather do? Would you rather talk about the benefits that that hard year gave you? Would you rather talk about the desires that are highlighted? You just don't need to deliberately screw up the segment you're walking into with the words you're using now.
Awesome.
Now is powerful. Now is powerful. So prepare where you're going now. We're just saying.
I love where I am now.
Yeah.
I have done the work, and every day gets better, and I love the journey that I'm on. And
Quite
I'm
a different thing, isn't it?
super excited for what is to come.
And you're so close to that what you're saying right now is so authentic. It's not lip service. You really mean this.
Oh, yes.
But you did have to take a minute, because we sort of bullied you,
yes,
into focusing where you mean to focus. That's what deliberate creation is. It's about accomplishing your vibrational stance from which everything is coming to and happening from.
So I have a question.
It's all right. We're ready for your question. We just want to help you focus a little more. Is the question coming from your vortex version of where you're going, or from the now reality in which you're standing? From what vibrational stance is this question coming? Better way of saying it is, what influence are you under as you speak this question?
What influence am I under?
Are you under the influence of source and inner being? For example, your inner being would ask a question. Your inner being would float the idea to you for a question. I know what I want, and I'm excited about the unfolding of it. And how can I be more keenly aware of it as it's unfolding? That's the kind of question your inner being would inspire you to ask. Where something that's not your inner being might influence you to say, I'm having a hard time, and what could I do to make it better? Can you feel the difference?
Sure. I think for me this is a question of understanding.
That's fair.
Okay. Sometimes when I'm not in the vortex...
But you know what we always do?
What?
In order to bring you to a place of understanding, we just stubbornly keep saying to you all the things that you already understand. Because we know if we can get you focused upon what you already understand, that you'll be able to understand the next thing that you want to understand that you don't understand.
Right.
But if we start from a premise that you don't understand, then nothing that we're going to say is going to cause you to understand. So you do know you're the creator of your own reality, yeah?
Yeah.
And you do know that how you feel is everything, yeah?
Yeah.
All right, ask the question.
I feel like you just answered the question.
We think so too.
I have found that I can create when I'm angry.
Oh, yeah. You get what you think about, whether you want it or not.
So...
You can't create what you want when you're angry.
Right. So you have a difficult person that you are working very hard to love and send good things to. And sometimes that...
Not working that hard, you called them difficult.
Yeah, I did. That's true. They're challenging for me.
We know, and you want us to side with you.
Yeah. Now, I want to know why sometimes my anger can do more to get what I want with that person than showing them and feeling love towards them.
It can't.
It can't.
That's a flawed premise.
Okay.
But this is why it looks that way.
Okay.
Humans get accustomed to mediocre creating. It's like if you're getting nothing from somebody till you yell at them and then they move something from over there to over there, you say, success! And so you get used to settling for the meager drippings of disconnection. We know that it takes quite a bit of focus to see only the positive aspects of someone who has other aspects other than positive aspects. Because you can see and hear and smell and taste and touch in this physical world, and so it feels more real and it yanks your chain. But if you have prepared yourself, if you've done the get out ahead of it work, if you have tuned with your inner being who always loves them no matter what, if you've intended yourself into the loving person that you are, now as they perform those things that used to bother you, even as recently as just now or a segment or two ago, they won't bother you as much, maybe not at all, because you're tuned differently. It would be like accidentally getting on a radio station that is full of things you don't want to hear, vulgarity and rudeness and meanness, and you don't want to hear it, and so you change the station, and then every time you get into your vehicle you set it back on that station again first, just to get mad again, just to be shocked by it again, when you don't have to. Once you start adjusting your tuner, it will calibrate to your natural vibration. It does not take very much to calibrate you to who you really are, and that's why it freaks you out when something causes you to not be there. Esther's like that too. When something upsets her, oh, she's so upset that she's upset because she knows better and she knows that she could get out ahead of it. She just didn't get out ahead of it. And there are people around you that sometimes they sort of like you to be upset, so they'll give you all the negative news just to see how you react, you see. Well, react however you want to, but get your balance as quickly as you can. So ask your question now.
I did, and I asked it.
Ask it again.
Ask it again.
Abraham, when there are lovely people in my life that behave in different ways, how do I just notice the best of them?
Yes, that's
by
the question.
being
Yeah, that's the question.
By practicing the best of you, whether the best of them is showing up or not. By not needing the best of them to create the best of you. By not being so conditional that the best of you can't show up unless it's the best of them. By not turning all of your power over to their behavior.
Right.
By loving the way you feel. Esther, she's so addicted to this little notebook that she's got. She bought a big stack of them, and she can just hardly wait. And she has a place in her house where that notebook sits there on the table, and it's a new segment, so she just goes and sits there and writes. Not to fix the next segment, because of the pleasure that these words generate in her here and now. You get addicted to alignment. You get addicted to being in sync with who you are. You get addicted to that good feeling in your belly, that feeling of love and appreciation, and most of all to that feeling of clarity. And so when you find yourself standing stable in an atmosphere where you used to not stand stable, pretty soon you can't even remember not being stable. And then other people's behavior is a non-issue to you, because you don't create their reality, you create your reality. Did we get there?
Yes, I'm ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready.
So we used to say that a lot, getting ready to be ready to be ready to be ready. And now we'd just like to say, I'm ready, because ready to be ready to be ready to be ready to be ready feeds your appetite to get to where you really want to go.
I'm ready.
We want you to just be as ready as you are and happy about how ready you are, because that's how your inner being feels. Your inner being feels really good about how ready you are. How ready you are. How ready you are. Where you are is just right. And you know why? Where you are is enough. You know why? Because you can't attract beyond where you are. So it's got to be enough. Do you get that? It's got to be okay where you are, because you can't be other than where you are. And because your inner being is never judging you about being in a wrong place. So when you're unhappy about where you are, you know what the problem is? You're crossways of your inner being, who never ever says you're not where you're supposed to be. Did you get that? Here's another piece to this. You're right here where you can hear this, because we can feel you. You've come right along, because we've been talking about what you already know, and then we talk about what you already know, so you're right up to speed. Every one of you, you are knowing what we are knowing right now about this. So let's take it just one step further so that you can really feel benefit moving forward out of this day. A friend earlier talked about there's this perspective and this perspective and this perspective, and we teased and we said there are endless perspectives. So let's talk about some perspectives here. Just a really clean, clear, easy way for you to approach this moment in time, this moment in time, this moment in time. You can be observing or considering a condition or an outcome, like a person, a bank account number, the condition of your house or relationship. You can be considering that aspect of life. And it's logical to be in a physical human body with your senses that you would do that. You can also be considering your vibrational relationship with your inner being right now. So if you start getting in the habit of tending to your vibrational reality rather than your manifested reality, can you feel the difference? Let's say that you hear a funny sound in your car and you worry that it's getting ready to break down. So you're focused upon a condition that you're having a response to. Naturally you would. But let's say that rather than responding to conditions and letting the condition evoke your emotional response, let's say you've decided to get out ahead of everything and you've decided to take charge of your emotional response. So you're looking at your emotional response rather than letting your emotional response be a knee-jerk reaction to a condition. Can you hear this? So you hear the funny knock, knock, knock in your car, and you start to feel a soft wafting of insecurity coming over you, but you don't let it take hold. Instead you say, I have really good timing in my life and I can take care of this. You say, things always work out for me. You could even say, this has been a really stable vehicle. You could even say, everything works out well for me. You could even say, all is well here. You could say, there's nothing serious going on here. You could say, I am stable, I'm secure. And our point is that if you will stay there and focus there until you really feel that, till you really feel that, then the outcome will please you. We've said to Jerry and Esther as they were moving around in their monster buses, and even all of this lovely merry band that gets on airplanes and in the van that holds all the equipment, they're moving around a lot from place to place to place to place to rendezvous with you, and they always get there. They always get there, and everything always turns out wonderful. And it isn't that there are not things that they have to deal with, but things always do turn out. And when you decide to know that, and you decide to acknowledge that, and you decide to let that be the dominant vibration that you're offering, then the current condition becomes less and less of a significant factor in your life experience. And that is such an important thing for this reason. Do you know what the predominant culprit, which is a hindrance to you getting what you want, is? Do you know what the culprit or the hindrance to the more that you're asking for? Do you know what it is? It's what is. Because what is in a state of becoming more all the time. And if you are fascinated and so verbal about describing what is, then you're not allowing the universe to yield to you the new improved version that you've already asked for. So what step 5 really is standing in this place of understanding that it's always going to be changing, and it's always going to be more, and that the vibrational version is always an improved version of what is. And if you can not be so enamored with what is, and so verbal about what is, and so interested in getting everybody else to agree with you about what is, and you can be more emotional based, where you care about how you feel first and foremost, so that you're giving yourself and others the benefit of the doubt. So you're looking for the positive aspects in things. So you're reaching for the thought that feels better. What begins to happen is you just feel good and 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 feel good, feel good and feel good. This can take a while, and feel good and feel good and feel good. And others look at you and they say, why do you feel so good all the time? And you say, because I decided to. And that twists their brain into a knot. What do you mean? I've decided to feel good too, but something went wrong with my car and I had a fight with my lover and you say, oh, I'm way past that. I don't let the details of my current life mess up where I'm going.